Here in Don's paper, it says the Vermont League of Cities and Towns reported that in 2000, most states rely fairly evenly on consumption taxes, 36%, income taxes, 24%, and property taxes, 28%. That's the average state. But to fund their state and local governments and schools. On the other hand, Vermont, three-legged stools legs are all out of whack, with the property tax leg at 43%, almost twice as long as the income tax leg at 23% and the sales tax leg at 25%.
Yes, and property taxes are regressive.
They hit those that are least able to pay hardest, don't they?
Well, it depends. You might have someone who purchased property many years ago, and it represents 90%, that property, 90% of their assets, but isn't throwing off that much income. They might just live there. But being taxed on that property really causes hardship. Regressive taxation is taxation that is imposed on people generally less able to pay than as contrasted with progressive taxation. Wealthy people have an easier time paying taxes than do less wealthy. And if you're looking at a society where the public interest benefits everyone, it seems to me that people who can afford to pay taxes should pay. That us wealthy should pay more.
Well, it's interesting because, we hear, back to this question about Vermont being the highest tax state and so forth, there is good research on all 50 states about the percentage of income paid by the 5 different quintiles. And because of our dependence, most states' dependence on regressive taxes, be it property sales or other.
Consumption taxes.
And the ability to shelter income if it's not wage income. Higher income Vermonters, as is the case in most states, pay a smaller percentage of their income in all state and local taxes than low and moderate income people do. It's really quite disturbing. And that's the discussion we should be having, which is what Don is suggesting, rather than worrying about, oh my God, the sky's falling because we have the highest top marginal rate. Furthermore, by the way, we should differentiate. A lot of that property tax revenue is through the statewide system, which I think it should be based on income, but it is, to its credit, income sensitive. Now, they might have gone a little out of whack with the numbers. I think up to about 110,000 you're eligible for the income sensitivity. But the municipal property tax is still raw and progressive, or regressive, and offers no benefit to people at the low end at all.
That's a vital point. Interestingly, under President Nixon, there was something known as revenue sharing, which Senator Pat Moynihan introduced when he served in that administration. And the logic was that the federal government was the most effective repository of tax funds, and they remitted funds back to the states. So you had an additional source of income for state financing, plus states frequently then aided localities. Now, localities are on their own, and I can tell you I sit on the Burlington Employees Retirement System Pension Board, and actuarially, I don't have the latest numbers. I don't have the latest numbers based upon 12/31/08, but I would say the actuarial deficit of Vermont, and it tends to lag because they smooth out what's known as actuarial smoothing, is probably approaching $40 to $50 million. How many citizens or residents of Burlington know that?
And I think this is true all over the country.
And it's probably true all over the country.
And interestingly, though, those costs, set aside the gap for the moment, but those costs are now being referred to by the same spinmeisters that we discussed briefly before as legacy costs. And they are, I suppose, literally But the implication is, let's make us feel bad about those nasty unions who were treated with respect by their employers, often public sector, which is a large part of what's left of the union movement in this country. And let's cut those so we can be competitive. It used to be that when I was growing up, and you went through the GI, you went through school and the GI Bill, people looked ahead thinking we can do better. Now, these folks, these Republicans in Washington for a quarter of a century and others, have persuaded Americans that we should make less. If you read the blogs and read letters to the editor about what's going on in Detroit, American working people are saying, yeah, cut their wages. This is what we've come to. And all those nasty benefits that they get, like a retirement to live in dignity. So yeah, I don't mean to suggest that we don't have a problem with the retirement fund, just to put it in another context.
Well, to support what you just said, that it is a problem all over the country, I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. It's an excellent newspaper. I've been reading the Wall Street Journal since 1950 when I was at Penn. Article yesterday, this very thing, that tax revenues from sales are sharply declining because there's a fall off in retail sales. It seems, and we can get back to this point because it's happening to our economy, and it's the reason I'm a bear on the market. What drives GDP, gross domestic product, is what's called consumer disposable spending, account for 70% of GDP. Well, as people lose their jobs, they have less funds to buy corporate products and services. As the boomers now who are coming on stream have to rely on reduced pensions, their purchasing capabilities will decline as well. And there was an article again in yesterday's Wall Street Journal that there's been a sharp decline in retirees believing they have adequate funds for retirement. How are these folks going to live? We've made no plans at all, and it's going to hurt the economy. So I think increasingly the S&P, Standard & Poor's indexes, you will see in a composite less earnings for the S&P 500, which in essence supports the PE ratios and supports stock prices. The chickens are increasingly coming home to roost. And yet leaders of the Republican Party now, and Mr. Douglas obviously supports, are calling for huge tax reductions in the face of the need to build up the credit capabilities of people. They have it backwards. And it is a tragedy. And again, this is the big lie technique to frighten people.
It seems to me it's not a question of tax increase or tax reduction. It's a question of who's paying the taxes. Yes. Now, for instance, we talked about a regressive tax. The sales tax is a regressive tax, I think.
Yes.
Because people, lower income people, have to pay it more than the, or at least as much as the higher income people.
Exactly.
I thought that the one thing that Jim Douglas did that I thought was reasonably good, last year he gave us a tax holiday in July from the sales tax. Although Anthony, I supported Anthony in the campaign for governor, but he wasn't so enthusiastic about the tax holiday. I would like to see it every year. What do you think about that, Doug? Well,
I can tell you that the legislature's economist, who's a very smart guy who I like and respect, Tom Cavett, has been asked the last couple of years to comment and score, in effect, is the technical term, some of the tax and economic development proposals, and this was one of them. There are several problems with the sales tax holiday. People who have disposable income and can plan a large purchase, a washing machine, a refrigerator, whatever it might be, when you tell them, oh, wait 6 weeks because you're going to save 6%, they say, fine, no problem. Now they want to include cars, by the way. That's the proposal this year. But in any case, so you get what's called in the energy world free riders. If you're going to subsidize behavior that you hope will change, whether it's to use less energy or to buy energy efficient goods, you want to target it to the people who need the help, not the people who have the money and for whom the 6% savings is virtually meaningless. So, and furthermore, he ran the results through the REMI model, the input-output econometric model, and found that we actually lost money as a process. In fact, there's a guy with a shop very near here, just across the tracks, who sells appliances. And I had a guest coming to visit me last summer, and I didn't have an air conditioner in the bedroom, and this guy's from the south, so I bought one of these little tiny window units for the room. And I asked him, the place was empty, and I had been there before. And I said, how's your business? And he said, everybody's waiting for the tax holiday. So did we get additional purchasing? I doubt it.
But there was a $2,000 limit on the
Correct.
purchase, so that wouldn't include cars.
No, but the new provision that the proposal this year is to have another one that will include cars. A lot of people buying cars right now?
That's a big increase in the limit, though. For the cheapest car is $12,000.
Yeah.
To go from $2,000 to $12,000, that's...
Now, a couple of other